I'm JD TheMediajack, and welcome to another edition of the Flipside podcast, episode 468, Family Drama. Now, this is going to be a very different episode for two different reasons. First of all, before we get into that, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon. If you'd like to support me and all the work that I do, then feel free to look me up on Patreon. The link is in the description down below. Or if you're listening on the audio podcast through Apple, Spotify, Anchor, or wherever, then the link is in the description of this episode or any other episode. But if you want to help out, it just costs $1.50 Canadian to just show a little bit of support. Or you can become an executive producer like Red Wolf Dawn and have your name mentioned, as well as get all the benefits available through the TheMediajack Patreon. Again, big thank you to the executive producer for another episode, Red Wolf Dawn. Now, this is a different episode for two reasons. One, there's no guest. I'm the guest, I guess. I have a long story to tell you. I don't usually like to do this sort of thing, but I felt it was overdue, and some circumstances had arisen that just basically gave me the inspiration to share a long story about my personal life. I've never been one to share drama, but I felt that this is overdue, as well as you're going to find it a little bit entertaining. And also, it's going to help answer a lot of questions when it comes to me and my family. Number two, this is a rebroadcast from another podcast that I'm on with my good buddy Daryl. Lost Signals is his podcast. The link is in the description down below for this. Now, we're going to just start right at the beginning of his episode of Lost Signals, number 23. And this is family drama, I guess, on the Flipside podcast.
Welcome to episode 23 of Lost Signals. My name is Daryl.
I'm JD.
Hi.
How you doing?
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Little different this time, I guess. It's
Yeah.
We're full disclosure, we're recording this one. So we have one to release in between the weeks where we do it live.
Yeah, because as we stated before, like your schedule, my schedule don't exactly line up anymore where we can do it week to week. But this is an opportunity to not only record something, but also to finally get something off my fucking chest.
Yeah. It's a little different format today. Not really. I mean, it's going to be the same bullshit back and forth. You know, it's just how we do. So, like, we all have our own stories, and we all have our own topics where we hope would be a category on Jeopardy where we know we would excel. And when it comes to me, it's my screwed up family. We've talked about this before, but probably not at length like we're going to speak today, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, there's been, like, if you go back through like Twitch streams and YouTube streams and compilations and stuff like that, there's little snippets of me and my family and this screwed up situation and this wild situation and this what the fuck is going on situation. So something happened a couple of weeks ago that it was the final straw for me. And let me start off by saying that like you know probably more than the majority of the people in my life about my family situation, but even still, there's going to be some things in here I know I have not told you.
Oh, fun.
And I don't want you to climb up. Like, you just be you.
You're asking a lot there, man.
Yeah. I had been hoping to mend fences with my family for a while, and I have tried and I have attempted, but there are some situations that came up that it's not up to me. The onus is not up to me to fix things. It's up to the other party. And I'm talking about my direct family. I'm not talking about aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, something like that. So, like I said, it was a recent incident where it was over fucking Facebook, of all places. Where
surprise! That's where all fucking family fights fucking started. Fucking Facebook.
Anyways. So I just basically just had enough. Like, I was done. right? And this has been well over 2 decades, and I had finally just given up. And I wanted to talk about this and share this entire story with you and other people. That way I can just go, you know what? If you want to hear about it, go there, because I'm tired of talking about it.
Here's the full recount of the whole story for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah. So we'll start off at the very, very beginning. I am the oldest of 5 out of 3 marriages, all on my father.
Holy shit!
Married.
Yeah.
See. So there's myself, my brother, my half sister, and 2 stepbrothers. The 2 stepbrothers don't really come into the situation here. So my dad married my mom and had myself and my brother, and then they divorced. I spent 2 years in Prince George as a child and hated it. Fucking hated it. I grew up in Vancouver. I was a Vancouver boy through and through. Yeah. I was used to the big city and transit that just didn't go to the end of town, but went to different towns.
Yeah.
And so living in Prince George for 2 years, I made a very mature decision for someone my age. I was just finished up grade 5, right? And I told my mom and I told my dad that I wanted to move back down to the Lower Mainland to be with my dad.
Yeah.
So that happened, grade 6 and onward, and then throughout my teens and my 20s, I was in the Lower Mainland. It was during that time that he met his second significant other. They never were officially married, and they had my one and only half sister.
Okay.
A couple of years later, I got picked up from school, and I was in grade 7, and my dad said, and I quote, and I have no idea what this meant at the time. He said, "We're shifting off to Timbuktu." And what do you mean? He goes, "You're going to stay with grandma for a while." I went, "Okay, what about home?" He goes, "Don't worry about that. I'll grab your stuff, but your sister's mother and I, we're done." I went, "Okay." Now, to this day, I have no idea what happened. Oh. And you could say it was psychosomatic, that I blocked out certain things. I do remember that my sister's mother did not treat me the greatest.
It usually happens in mixed families. Not like exclusively, but it is a side effect in time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did not treat me the greatest. There was no abuse, but it's just whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I can't remember the reason. I can't figure out, even to this day, I can't figure out what the hell happened. But I lived with my grandma for a couple of years. And then my dad found a new place. It was above his shop, and I moved in with him, and I continued on with the rest of my life. And then eventually he found his next significant other, who would be his current wife, Diane. That's her real name. Fuck her.
Shit's getting real now, boys.
So the one thing that I've already neglected was there was a conversation during the relationship with his second significant other, my sister's mother, where I remember sitting down at a table with myself, my brother, who was visiting us during the summer months, my dad, and his second significant other. And there was this long conversation about how he wanted us to refer to his significant other as mom. And my brother and I being shaken to the core with that idea. No. And it was a couple of days later where I remember both, like, tears in my eyes, approaching her and saying, like, I can't do this. Like, we can't do this. We feel like we're betraying our own mother.
Yeah.
And she completely understood. So then fast forward to the relationship he built with his next wife, Diane. That same thing came up where he wanted me to refer to his wife his third significant other, his second official wife, as mom while we're out in public because, according to him, it's embarrassing.
But it's not true.
And it's not from the heart either.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I found out later that he wasn't just asking this of me. He was asking this of his daughter as well. Now, we're starting to get into the meat of things here.
Okay.
It was what year was it? 2001. And I didn't have a very reliable vehicle, and my father's neighbor had this wonderful old 1978 Toronado. It had 4,000 original kilometers on it. Ooh. It ran on propane, but it sat in the garage for who knows how long. And so when my dad and I were kind of car shopping, I couldn't really think of anything that I wanted. Nothing was really in my budget. And so he's like, well, what do you want? And we were outside, and I went, I want that. He goes, the Toronado? I went, yeah, I want that. He goes, well, I could talk to my neighbor and see what she says. So lo and behold, he talks to the neighbor, and they agree on a price point. It's a little bit on my range, but my father agrees to A, help me convert it back to gasoline from propane.
Yeah.
B, get it tuned up and ready to go. And C, co-sign with me on a loan so that I can actually pay for this thing, and then I just pay him back.
Yeah.
So that continues on. We're working on his vehicle. We pull the propane tank out, and we're having fun, and I'm learning more about mechanics because my father's a mechanic. Yep. And on a side note, my sister's having a really hard time with this whole referring to Diane as mom, and I don't live there anymore, and so I don't really have to deal with it. But my sister confronted me at some point in time and said, like, what do I do? I go, well, I mean, it would be best if you just approached Dad one-on-one and just said, what's in your heart?
Yeah.
Like, just be honest. Now,
yeah.
My sister was born in 1990. This was 2001. So not even...
Like 11?
11 years old. Born in April.
Yeah. 11
years old, and like having to confront my father about this.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I know you're going to be visiting Dad because like shared
custody.
Yep. So yeah, words are hard.
Yep.
So when you plan on doing this, I'll be there for you. I will be there 100% for you. I'll physically plan on being there to work on my dad on the car anyway. Yep. So yeah, I'll do that. So anyway, the fateful day comes, and I know like I'm just fucking regretting it and just dreading it because I know it's going to be an issue. So I get to my father's place, and he immediately cops an attitude. He goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I go, "I'm here to work on the car." He goes, "Oh, you're not here to gang up on me with your sister?" I went, "Excuse me?" And so he just goes into this whole tirade about like how we have it all mixed up and like, he disrespected his wife and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what the fuck? And then it dawns on me that my sister approached my dad without me.
Okay.
About this situation. And he goes, "I don't want to fucking see you right now. Just go." "What about the car?" He goes, "Don't worry about the car. I'll get it done and then you can pick it up." So what he ended up doing was he sent my sister away to go back to his mother or her mother's.
Yeah.
And he sent me away, and then he sent my car away to one of his mechanic buddies, and he must have like had the apprentice do it because they did a shit job. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I had to tear apart half that engine just to get the proper work done.
Aye.
And then have it run properly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I still owed him for that car.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years later, just before I moved to Prince George, we started talking again, and I was ready to like start paying him back. This was way before money transfers and wire transfers, and even cell phones were like a prominent thing.
Yeah.
So we were talking, and I said, like, I know I still owe you for the Toronado, and he goes, "Don't worry about it. I shut down my business, and then when I did that, I incurred that as debt for my business. So it actually worked out, and I got a tax break." I went, "Oh, okay, cool." So fast forward to 2006. I proposed to my fiance. I proposed to my girlfriend, who would eventually become my fiance and my wife, Monroe. And I told my dad about it. And he's like, "Oh, great. Congratulations. If there's any way I can, I love it. You know, the first wedding of my kids and blah, blah, blah." So my brother, turns out a couple months before the wedding, had to convince my dad that I didn't want to go to the Rippers. That I instead, like, I'm just not the type of person to go to the strip joint, right? Yeah. And that's true.
I'm not a huge fan of the Rippers either. I spend way too much money there. That's a story for another time, though.
That we can get into that topic another time. Yeah. I'm much more of a conversation person. So anyway, he convinces my dad, like, you know, if you want to do something for your oldest son who's about to get married, why don't you come up? We'll have dinner and blah, 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 blah. That somehow turned into the most loud, alcohol-infused, round-robin clusterfuck of honesty the Moxie's restaurant has ever seen.
I love it. Was in public.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was me, my brother, my mother, Diane, my dad, and my soon-to-be wife, all sitting at a round table in Moxie's.
Yeah.
And we're all drinking.
Nice.
But we're getting out everything. Like, you know, we're getting out the conversation and the utter insanity about the situation of referring to people who aren't our mom's mom. And the lies that were bounced back and forth. And we're like, everything is just getting out on the table.
Yeah.
And so going into this wedding, I was under the understanding that, you know, clean slate, you know, no more tension, no more issues, no more secrets, no more like back talking, nothing like that. Like clean slate.
Yeah.
Right. So leading up to the wedding, I actually mended the bridge between myself and my sister's mother. She approached me and like apologized for how she treated me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And admitted that she wasn't the best step parent that she could have been. She wasn't even the best mother that she could have been. And she made no excuses. Right?
It's fair.
And so I mended that bridge.
Yeah.
So I get to the wedding. The wedding, first time ever. It's my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister's mother, my dad's current wife, and all of Monroe's family.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Now, this is the first time that anyone from my family is meeting her family. First time ever.
Yeah.
Right. So, a couple of things happen. We have, first of all, we had this Ministry of the Peace, wonderful Irish battle axe woman who's like in her mid 80s and took no guff from anyone. And during the wedding rehearsal was just like, no, you do this, you stand here, I will cut your dick off if you don't fucking like just utterly brutal. And I loved her for it. So we had her, and the actual ceremony was supposed to be between myself and Monroe. And when the ceremony happened, suddenly my mom was called up to help with this Celtic rope tying traditional ceremony. And it threw both myself and Monroe through a loop. Like, what? Oh, I'm like, not a problem with it, but okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So put a pin in that. We get to the dance. And the first dance is between myself and Monroe.
Yeah.
And then the second dance is between Monroe and her father and myself and my mother. And I get maybe a minute into this song. It's about a 4-minute long song. And my mom says, why don't you invite up the other women in your life? This is my birth mother. And she goes, why don't you invite up the other women in your life? I go, what do you mean? She goes like, well, I mean, Samantha's mom is here. And I mean, your dad's wife is here. I remember saying to her, you don't like her. And this is a dance between you and me. Yeah. She goes, I can share my son. Whoa. Okay. So I let go of my mom. And then I immediately, I think chronologically, my sister's mother. So I reach for my sister's mother, and she's like, what's going on? I don't understand. Well, you should be dancing with your mom. So as we're dancing, I'm telling her what my mom said, right? And like, she's starting to cry, and she's like, I can't believe this is happening. Blah, blah. So I can sense that, there's the latter portion of the song coming up, and so I let her go. And I reach for Diane. And she screams loud enough that it drowns out the music, fuck you, and walks off. And I'm stunned, right? This is my wedding day.
Wow.
Everyone stops. Like, if there was a record on the player, it would have scratched itself. Like,
who does that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so
anyways, yeah.
Anyway. Put a pin in that one. My sister's mother snaps to it and immediately grabs me, and it goes from me leading her to her leading me to the song ending to me collapsing because I'm just like overcome.
Yeah.
Right. My favorite uncle Bruce, like giant man, it literally picks me up and carries me behind this shed. It was an open ceremony on a campground just outside 100 Mile House. And so, like, just to compose myself. And I'm just like, I'm confused. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Right? So I noted, like, someone else comes around the corner and says, your dad and Diane went to their cabins and they've locked themselves in there. I went, fine, great. So whatever. Finish the rest of the night. Go to bed that night with my now wife, and no, we did not consummate the marriage last night because we were fucking exhausted.
Yeah, it's fair.
Wake up the next morning. She's stunned, just as stunned as me, and I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
and so I hear my dad's vehicle fire up, and him being a high performance mechanic, he's got a hot rod, so it's very distinctive, especially since he's the only hot rod there. Yeah. I hear the vehicle fire up and it burns out and it leaves. I'm like, okay, cool. So I wake up and have a cup of coffee, and about half an hour into this, okay, go answer the door, and it's like a third of Monroe's family are like, hi. Hi. Do you want me to get Monroe? And Monroe's mother is actually no. I want to talk to you. And, okay. She goes, no. What the fuck is up with your family? And went, oh God.
So apparently, you shouldn't laugh. I mean, it is funny, but Jesus Christ, dude.
So apparently, before they left that morning, there was enough food left over from the night before that Monroe's family decided to take it upon themselves to invite the entire camp, not just the wedding party, but the entire camp to a breakfast.
It's fair. That's reasonable.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, while this was happening, Diane took it upon herself to walk up to where they were cooking everything, grab one end of the cold cuts meat tray, flip it onto the ground, turn around, walk away, get into the truck, and leave.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, it's like this just sounds like the craziest shit ever. But here's the thing: is that I witnessed 2 out of the 3 things that I just stated. And why would Monroe's family lie like this?
They wouldn't. There's no reason for them to. Jesus
exactly.
Christ! Wow.
So. Let's go back to pin number 1. Why was my mom involved in the wedding? Before the wedding ceremony was happening, the Justice of the Peace needed a place to organize her papers and her things and all that stuff. Yeah. And she had these custom-made brochures, one for my dad, one for my mom, one for her dad, one for her mom.
Yeah.
And so she needed a place to organize all these other papers and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And so she found like she was welcomed into the cabin where my dad and Diane were staying.
Yeah.
And so she's there and she's doing this and she's laying all this stuff out. And apparently what happened, this is according to the Justice of the Peace. Apparently what happened was like Diane said, well, what are those? And she said, well, that's for the groom's father and mother. And this is for the bride's father and mother. And she goes, I'll deal with those for you. And took them and bolted. Literally stole these brochures from underneath right in front of the Justice of the Peace. Like I said, a wonderful battle axe, like 80 something Irish woman, but physically not quick.
Yeah.
So smart though. She noticed and she took notice of what just happened. And then she went and approached my mom and said, look, there's a good chance you're not going to get the custom brochure that I made for you. I'll make you another one. But how would you like to be a part of the wedding?
Yeah.
So I heard this story from both the Justice of the Peace and my mother.
Holy fuck.
Pin number 2. Why did Diane tell me, fuck you, when I reached for her to dance? A couple of years later, I'm still just kind of like dumbfounded as to what happened. And the wedding is kind of a sore spot. So a couple of years later, I'm talking with my sister's mother. And the wedding comes up. And she starts to get quiet. And I go, what's wrong? She goes, well, there's something I didn't tell you. I went, what happened? She goes, before your wedding, I wrote a letter, a handwritten letter to your father and said that because it was your wedding and because things were not well between us, her and my dad and Diane.
Yeah.
And also things were still kind of strained between my sister and that family.
Yeah.
I wrote him a letter basically saying, please keep your distance. Leave us alone. We are here for JD's wedding.
Yeah.
That's it. And she said, I didn't want to tell you.
That's
okay.
That's a reasonable letter to write, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like, I just think, like, just to try and, maybe stop some shit before it happens, but obviously it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, sorry, just give me a sec here.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute. So Diane told me to go fuck myself at my wedding because she thought that I was in cahoots with you as to keeping you guys apart? And my sister's mother went, I guess so. And I said, why did that have to come out that way? I mean, no one would have known. And they could have approached me like before.
Yeah.
After, but instead it was a giant violent display and protest during my wedding.
Unnecessary as well. Like, Jesus.
Very unnecessary.
It's fucking.
Can we go ahead?
Yeah, it's fucking weird, man. It's fucking wow.
So my sister's mother told me about the letter, and then my sister's mother and I figured out that was what brought on the reaction, because for whatever reason, they took it upon themselves to protest at that very moment. And like, needless to say, the relationship between my dad and his second wife wasn't the greatest. For too many times, I heard him say, and I quote, "For the amount of money I have sent that bitch, I could have had her killed." It's like, you're talking about my sister's mother. And also, still to this day, I have no idea what it was that broke up those two. I have no idea.
Have you ever asked your sister about it? Does she know? I mean, she would have been pretty young, so she would
have been very, very young.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe it's one of those things where you're better off not knowing. Like,
yeah,
because I know you don't see your dad in real great light, obviously, but I mean, this might even just pushed over the edge. Far farther.
There's no over the edge anymore. I'm already fallen. That's it. I've hit rock.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, maybe you should know that. But anyway.
Yeah. It's just icing on the cake, if you want to use another metaphor. So anyway, so that happened, and that's what basically, like, it put everything together, right?
Yeah.
The giant shouting match at the restaurant meant nothing. It didn't resolve anything. It was still them acting in their own best interest and calling attention to something that otherwise wouldn't have been known, and not treating me like an adult, not approaching me like an adult, and not going off of the conversation that we had at that giant dinner at Moxie's, which we left like $100 tip for that night easily.
Yeah.
The poor waitress just did not know what to fucking do. So, fast forward. That was 2007.
Yeah.
2012, the relationship was falling apart between myself and Monroe. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and none of them malicious. It's just I had gotten to a point in my life where I realized it was kind of a crisis of character, or even, like, you want to call it a midlife crisis. But I was in my 30s, and I realized that I had no one to blame for myself for my health and my finances and my personal situation and my happiness. I didn't have Monroe to blame. I had me.
Yeah.
And so I started to take steps to change that. And in the last episode, I talked about Grand Prairie and working in the oil field, and that was a part of that transformation. So that was 2012. 2013, about the summer, my father calls me up out of the blue, and our relationship was very strained at this point in time. I mean, like, we've missed birthdays, we've missed Christmases, we've missed like holidays. I didn't receive a present, nor did I feel the inkling to send him like a happy Father's Day card. Like, get fucked. Like, what you did at my wedding, there was no excuse.
Unforgivable.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, during all this time, my mom, my brother, myself, and my wife all live in Prince George now. I moved from the Lower Mainland to Prince George, which is funny because, I mean, when I was much, much younger, I hated it here.
Yeah.
But we needed a new life. We needed a new start on life, myself and my wife. And this is where we ended up. And so it was at dinner, or my father suggested a lunch. And keep in mind, up to this point, from 2007 to 2013, he did not miss a single one of my brother's birthdays. In fact, my brother got like a body and a frame for a 32 Ford pickup from my dad.
You said body. Work on it. My head went into a way different headspace.
He's a mechanic.
Yeah, right. I had to retract that thought. Yeah, but
he is a high performance mechanic. Anyway, they went to Mexico a couple times.
Yeah.
Clearly my brother was the favorite.
Yeah.
So 2013 summer, my father calls me up out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I've been seeing the things that you've been doing and picking yourself up, and I'm sorry about your relationship, but hey, I'm coming up to Prince George. There's a swap meet in the area, and how would you like to come? And I'll buy you lunch." Okay, cool. So we go to the local golf and curling club, and Prince George, we don't have a golf and country club. We have a golf and curling club.
Nice. It's very redneck of you.
Yeah. Very northern of us. We're sit down, we're having lunch, and 3/4 of the way through this lunch, like, he's asking me about like what I'm doing, and hey, I look great. And at this point in time, I had lost like 60 pounds and really like cleaned up myself. Still hadn't grown this yet. no facial hair.
It's like a kid then.
Yeah, I know. So 3/4 of the way through this meal, he says, so there's something I wanted to talk to you about. Okay. And I the only thing that was really coming into mind was like the wedding.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. What happened at your wedding? I went, okay.
Yeah.
He goes, I really think you should apologize to Diane for how you treated her.
What? Why?
Your reaction is exactly what I did.
What? Why? That makes no fucking sense.
I said nothing, and his next sentence was, "I can clearly see you're upset by this." I went, "For how I treated her at my wedding." He goes, "Well, yeah. I mean, you really embarrassed her." I said, "For asking her to dance?" He goes, No, for asking your sister's mother to dance." And I said, "And this embarrassed her how?" And his answer was, "Well, I mean, you know that, her and I don't get along, and so in turn, like, Diane and her don't get along." And I said, "And you're the only ones at that wedding that knew that."
Yeah.
I said, "All I did was ask her to dance." He goes, well, I still think that, she's still pretty hurt about that." I finished my beer and said, "Thanks for lunch," and I walked.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, we drove in different vehicles, so
yeah.
It's not like those one like awkward things, right? Anyway, so that was 2013.
It's a whole bag of what the fuck, man.
Oh, it's not over yet. Oh God, it's not over yet. Keep in mind, it just ended. Like, this whole situation just ended 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck me.
So, let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. So that was 2013, and still no birthdays, no Christmases, no nothing. But still, my brother going to Mexico with my dad and his wife Diane, and this present and that gift and blah 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 and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That 32 Ford, or I'm not even sure if it was a 32 Ford, but it's a nice looking body and chassis.
Yeah.
Rusting in my brother's yard, just sitting there, nothing happening to it. So anyway, transition over to my brother, my one and only brother, full brother. For years, and in fact, for a while, him and I were on the same softball team. And I'm a competitive player, but also I'm competitive enough that I had to stop because I was hurting myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to have to bring bandages and scraps of cloth to cover up like where I was bleeding, and that was like in the 4th inning.
Oh, nice. Classic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I stopped playing, I wanted to support my brother, and I said, hey, let me know when you're playing, because I would love to come out and watch you play.
Yeah.
And I bugged him about it for a while, and I never ever got like, hey, I'm playing here, come on out, and blah blah blah. Never.
Yeah.
Never. And this went on for years. So I always made sure that my brother's birthday, which is around Easter, was always celebrated. And to the point where, like, I would call up my mom like a couple days beforehand and say, like, hey, my brother's turning old again. Like, what are we going to do? And sometimes when his birthday, which was in the middle of April, would be around Easter, we get him a birthday cake that was Easter themed.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
So, there'd be times where I call up my mom and I go like, hey, what are we doing for my brother's birthday? And she goes, oh, fuck, I didn't get a cake. Like, I'll go get a cake. Like, minimum, it has to be a present, a card, a cake. Like, that's it. That's all you have to have for a birthday, right? It's my brother's birthday. I'm celebrating my fucking brother's birthday.
Yeah.
Those 3 things. So I'm bringing these up as a point because it was around 2018 that my mother started to not feel well on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And like there was lots of tests and they couldn't figure it out. And I was throwing out ideas because like she would just be like could not keep anything down and then suddenly be okay and then had zero energy and then was like energetic, and it wasn't just like a mental thing. Like physically there was something wrong with my mom, and she was pushing like just not even hitting 65 yet, and like was definitely suffering from something.
Yeah.
So it was April 2018. 2018? 2018. April 2018. It's getting close to my mother is still sick. And it's getting close to my brother's birthday. And I text my mom and I go, "Hey, it's almost my brother's birthday. What are we doing?" And she goes, "Oh, we're going to Mexico." And that's funny. And then the next text is, "Oh shit, didn't we tell you?" So I pick up the phone and go, "What's going on?" And my mom goes, "I'm so sorry. Yeah, your brother, your uncle, his girlfriend, and I, we're going to Mexico for like 3 weeks."
Holy fuck.
What? Why wasn't I told? She goes, "I thought we told you."
Oh,
like,
no.
All right. Well, like was this like spur of the moment thing? She goes, "No, we booked it last October."
Holy fuck. You think that would come up in, conversation? It's like, "Oh, hey, we booked this trip." No, Jesus Christ, dude.
Or during Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's, which we spent together.
Yeah. Or
also
random phone calls or texts or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
also, my mom, at this point in time, my mom, my brother, and I all worked for the same company, the same bus company that I currently work for today.
Holy fuck.
So it wasn't just like, hey, I don't see them very often. It's I literally see one or both of them at least once a week.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So you booked it in October. How? She goes, "Oh, you remember the travel trailer we had?" I went, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, we sold the travel trailer and then we got a great deal on like an all-inclusive package, and your Uncle Bruce and his girlfriend wanted to go too, so we just kind of put it all together." And okay. So, Mom, do you want me to go by and watch the dogs? They have 2 dogs, 3 cats, a bearded dragon, and some fish.
It's a whole fucking zoo.
She goes, "Oh, no, don't worry about that. We got one of the mechanics from the shop to watch the house." Oh.
Wow.
Literally doing everything possible to not have me involved whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right, fine. Well, enjoy your trip." She goes, "I am so sorry." I'm like, whatever, fine. Make it up to me later, I guess.
Yeah.
So the reason why I was calling her is because I had the birthday cake for my brother because it was right around Easter in my fridge.
Yeah.
And I bought my brother some gift certificates to a restaurant, and I had him a card. And I was like, so I got all prepared.
Yeah.
Right. All we have to do is get together and do it. And yeah, they buggered off to Mexico for 3 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
So they come back from Mexico and like, "Hey, got you a t-shirt." Fuck you. I didn't say that to them, but at the same time, it's definitely what I was thinking.
Like, what's the... Wow.
I know. So my birthday comes around. My brother's birthday is in April. My birthday is in July. And my mother is still just like struggling. Still have not figured out what the fuck is wrong with her.
Yeah.
Right. A woman her age, not exactly the healthiest person in the world, chronic smoker, no alcohol, not exactly the healthiest eater, but at the same time, like not or obese.
Yeah.
Like, so my birthday's coming up, and she texts me the morning and she goes like, "Hey, happy birthday." I went, thank you, happy birthday. And she goes, what you got plans for today? I went, nope. I wasn't dating anyone at the time.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Okay, well, do you want to do something?" I went, yeah, of course. She goes, "Well, how about fajitas and seafood at my place for birthday?" I went, perfect.
Yeah.
One thing I love the most on my birthday is seafood. I love seafood. Like, I'll stand at the grill and cook it myself. Like, I don't fucking care, right?
Yeah.
So she goes, "Great. Okay, see you for dinner." About an hour later, I get a text message. She goes, "Oh, your brother's got a ball game tonight, so do dinner. How about lunch?" All right, fine. So my brother and my mom, who I need a side note, my brother has never lived under a different roof from my mother, and even true to this day, which gets weird when I get to the point. So my mom and my brother have never lived under a different roof from each other. Ever. Never.
Okay.
And for many different times in the past, my brother, out of frustrations, like comes up to me at the shop, where we talk all the time, and says, like, one of these days, you know what, mom's going to come live with you. And my answer every single time is, you're both adults.
Yeah.
Like, she's not incapable. She's not inept.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And on top of that, it is her house you were living in that she sold to you at a very cheap price, because if she didn't, she was going to lose it to the bank.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, my birthday. Can't do dinner. Can we do lunch? So, sure, sounds great. She goes, okay, cool. We'll call you when we're in town. So 1:30, I get a phone call. It's like, hey, we're in town. Meet us at this such and such restaurant. And she picks the cheapest, shittiest Mexican restaurant in Prince George.
I'm sure there's abundance of Mexican restaurants in Prince George.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes.
I can just see it's the mecca of Mexican food. I can tell.
But this restaurant specifically, exactly.
Yeah.
This restaurant specifically is a hole-in-the-wall Mexican joint where the main instrument of cooking is a microwave.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah.
So
it's pronounced,
I hate this place.
It's pronounced microwave, by the way.
Microwave.
Yeah.
I hate this place. I don't blame you. This place.
I hate that place already too. I can tell.
Yeah. So, but my mom says, "Hey, we're in town. Meet us here." I'm like,
yeah.
Fine, whatever. So, go there for my birthday lunch, and my brother buys me the 2 for Tuesday. I got 2 burritos and a beer, and we sit down and we talk, and she hands me the T-shirt that she got for me from Mexico.
Yeah.
And my brother steps outside for a cigarette, and my mom starts bitching about my brother's girlfriend, and then my brother comes back in and kind of waiting, and they go, okay, well, happy birthday, and they leave. And I literally sat there and watched them get into the truck, thinking to myself, like, they're going to surprise me with like a cake, and no, they fucking left. There's a bakery right next door to this Mexican restaurant, and they fucking left. I came home and I weeped. Like, I was just like, you fuckers went to Mexico for his birthday, and you couldn't even be bothered to get me a fucking cupcake with a candle in it. Nothing. My ex-wife called me up to say happy birthday, and I answered the phone. She goes, what's wrong? And I told her all about it. She goes, oh my God. Within a 45 minutes, she came over here with cupcakes.
Yeah.
And a card and a little Deadpool pen. And that's all I want. So that was my birthday. Fast forward to my mom, and her condition continually gets worse.
Yep.
Eventually it gets to the point where she says, hey, I know we had dinner plans, but don't come over. I'm like, okay, why? What's wrong? She goes, I'm jaundice. I went, excuse me? She goes, I am yellow from head to toe, and I don't know why. I think maybe we got something from Mexico. I'm not sure. Like, okay, well, thanks. So to skip forward a bit, this goes on for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call from my brother, and he goes, Mom's in the hospital. Now, at this point in time, my mom's been in and out of the hospital way too many times.
Yeah.
Right? So this is kind of old news. I went, okay. He goes, you're going to come down? I went, how? Like, you got to give me more information than this, right? Like,
context,
it's not like
please,
I was working. Yeah, please,
yeah.
Right? And he goes, like, Mom's in a lot of fucking pain, and she's like yellow, and she's sick, and so just come down to the fucking hospital. All right, fine, fuck,
yeah.
Whatever. So I get down to the hospital, and she is buckled over on a gurney, and yellow as a badly drawn Simpsons character. Ooh. And just like in massive pain. And I'm looking around going like, why is she out here in the hallway? So I pull my brother aside and go, how'd you get here? Because I drove. Said, why didn't you call an ambulance? He goes, I get here faster. I said, yes, but an ambulance, they would have had her in an emergency room immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. I fucking drove here faster. Well, fine.
Yeah.
So Mom's in the hospital a couple of days, and they're hitting her with every single fucking test to try to figure out what the hell's wrong with her. But now they know that there's something wrong with her liver because she is jaundice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Turns out that this entire time, there has been a tumor growing on her pancreas.
Oh.
Her pancreas? Yes, her pancreas.
Yeah.
She had pancreatic cancer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was choking off the artery or the vein that was going to her liver, which gave her jaundice.
Yeah, because her lost liver function. Yeah, that would make sense.
Exactly.
Yep.
So pancreatic cancer is something not many people walk away from.
Nope.
So we find this out, and the doctors are like, they're on her immediately. We got to do this. We got to try this. We got to do this, blah, 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 blah. We're going to try something. We're going to try to remove the tumor that's around your pancreas. We're going to try to help you out. And there's a chance that we're going to blah, blah, like all this, like these plans. Yeah. Great, awesome. Fucking love it. Right. And my brother is just beside himself. And I'm trying to be strong, and I'm talking to the doctors, I'm talking to the nurses, I'm trying to get as much information as possible. I'm talking to family, and understandably, my brother, he's having issues coping,
shutting down. Right?
Yeah. So I tell him, look, if there's anything you need, if there's anything at all, any help you need, be it anything, even if it's financial, just let me know.
Yeah.
Please, just let me know, right? So, the day before my mother goes in for this surgery, and I know, anyone watching or listening, and even you, Daryl, are like, okay, we started off with your father. Yeah. Where the fuck is this going here? So, the day before my mother goes in for her surgery, I'm up in the hospital room, and it's myself, my brother, and my mother, and we're talking and we're joking, and nothing's on TV, and I'm like, well, fuck, they don't have Matt Luck up here, so just relax. And we're laughing, whatever, and then they get quiet, and I'm like, it's that feeling of like something's coming, and my brother goes, so Mom and I were talking, and we decided that if Mom needs a liver transplant, you're going to be the donor. He says that to me. And I sit there, lost in a dream,
oh my fucking
did I just become a cadaver?
You're fucking just a walking organ bank.
I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe it. Now, not even 10 seconds after this happened, the doctor comes walking in, and I'm like, thank fuck, because I'm going to be ripping someone's throat out.
Holy fuck.
My mother goes through the surgery.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well.
Yeah.
They actually had to do, she was supposed to be on the table for 5 hours. She was on the table for 13 hours. They had to graft a vein from her leg to her pancreas, to her liver, because the vein that was there was done. It was brittle. It was dust.
Yeah.
They did everything they could, and she was in an induced coma for a week. So fast forward a bit more, she crashes about 3 times. And a last-ditch effort, they were going to put her on a very aggressive dialysis machine.
Yeah.
And try to save her life as best as possible. And it was one of those things where the doctor said, say goodbye.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if this is going to work. This is either going to help her or it's going to kill her. And there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So miraculously, it worked. And she was out of the hospital by December. and it was great. And she got home, and
you didn't have to give up your liver.
Yeah. Thank Christ. So before she was sent home, the doctor was very clear. Clean everything, sterilize everything. And like, your mother has a very compromised immune system right now. She cannot get sick. She cannot nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so my mom's like, the house has to be cleaned. Like, there's 2 German shepherds and 3 cats. Like, the house has to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And so I say, like, I have experience cleaning offices. Like, I can go by and clean. And my aunt, my mom's oldest sister, says, like, I can help too.
Yeah.
Now my brother lives there, and he says, no, you guys don't need to do that at all. And like, myself and my girlfriend, like, we can do it. It's not a big deal. Like, but we can do it. We can do it. Like, we can help. I want to help.
Yeah.
I told you I want to help. Right. So my brother leaves or whatever. And then my mom says to my aunt, she's like, go clean the house, please go clean the house. And so my aunt looks at me, and I'm like, I'm game. Let's do it. Right?
Yeah.
So we pick a day, and my brother says, you really don't have to. Like, the house is clean. Like, it's fine. The house is clean. So yeah, I know, but like, we can go.
Yeah.
It's fine. Now my aunt is like 70 years old. She's been retired for a while. She's still doing, like, she's rather fit for someone her age. And so myself and my aunt, we go over to my mom/brother's house. I don't know what the fuck he thinks he cleaned, but it wasn't that place. There was ashtrays full. There was piles of dog hair in the corner. There was, like, you know how some doors have like bevels on them and whatever. It was just a shelf for dirt. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
So my aunt and I busted our asses for 4 hours cleaning my brother's place. The one that he said, place is fine. It's clean.
Yeah.
No big deal. So, whatever. My mom gets home, and she's comfortable. She's in bed, but she's like panicky and a little bit paranoid, and clearly, like, the toxins in her blood and are affecting her brain.
Yeah.
You know, things aren't exactly clicking as well as possible, and there's paranoia. Like, she's with it. Like, at one point in time, she says, like, just make sure you clean the cameras. I went, looking around her room, going like, what cameras? And she goes, huh? Did I say cameras? Yeah. She goes, oh, why did I say that? I went, I don't know. So anyway, I get sick. I get a cold like a couple days later, and I text my mom and I say, like, hey, I know I should be coming over, but I'm not going to come over because I have a cold.
Yeah.
She goes, no, stay away. Okay, cool. So about a week later, I text her and I go, like, hey, how are things? I get no answer. I go, hey mom, are you having a nap? And I get no answer. And later on in the day, I'm like, hey mom, just checking on you, just letting you know I love you. And in all caps, I get an answer back. Why don't you fucking call me? I went, oh, fuck, Jesus.
Yeah.
So I call her up and I go, like, why don't you fucking call me? What the hell? Like, where have you been? I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, it's like I am the last person on your list of priorities. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. Right. Mom, like, I was sick. Right. And you told me to stay away. She goes, yeah, I know, but you could call me at any point in time. I went, yes, mom. Phone works both ways. You can call me at any point in time.
Yeah.
She goes, I could die at any point in time, and I could have a blood clot, and it reach my brain, and poof, I'm gone, I'm dead, blah, blah, blah. And like, why does it seem like I'm the last thing on your list of priorities? And I'm like, I'm trying to keep calm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to breathe. And she goes, say something other than just fucking breathing in the phone. I went, fine. So I just let loose. Like, my fucking birthday, you went to Mexico without me, and the last on the list of priorities, you fucking hypocrite, blah, 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 blah. She goes, I don't want to talk to you right now. Click. And she hangs up the phone. like, probably shouldn't have yelled at my mom, but for fuck's sakes, right?
Yeah.
So I had to go to the grocery store. I get to the grocery store. Just as I pull into the parking lot, phone rings. It's my brother.
Mad.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pick up the phone and go, hey. He goes, hey, what are you doing yelling at my mom? I said, our mother yelled at me. He goes, well, I mean, come on, man. Like, you shouldn't be doing shit like that. I was like, excuse me. She yelled at me and was hypocritical over calling me and saying, how dare I put her at the bottom of my list of priorities.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I mean, that's kind of what you fucking did. I went, oh, don't you fucking start. And he goes, well, like, you didn't help at all. And like, you haven't pitched in at all. And I said, did I not say a while ago? And in fact, I said this a couple times. If there's anything you need help with, let me know. Even if it's financial, let me know.
Yeah.
You never let me know. He goes, well, you should have just fucking done something. I said, what am I supposed to do? Guess? He goes, well, you're being really inconsiderate. I said, fuck you, buddy. I'm not the one who was going after someone else's liver. What do you mean? I said, you don't tell someone they're going to be a liver donor. You fucking ask them.
Yeah.
He goes, well, aren't you selfish? I'm like, excuse me.
You fucking give your own fucking liver.
Why'd you have to volunteer me?
Holy fuck.
Like, if you would have asked me, I would have said yes, 100%, without question. You didn't fucking ask me.
I mean, it does grow back, but Jesus, like,
it takes a while, but at the same time, like, it's your mother.
Yeah. I mean, nobody would want my liver, but I mean, I get it.
I'd take your liver.
Well, good luck.
So, this argument escalates, and like, well, like, you're being selfish. I'm like, excuse me, I'm not the one who went to Mexico for my birthday and didn't even bother to tell my family. He goes, well, it's none of your business. I said, you're my fucking family, and mom was sick. Yeah. It was my business. And I forget how I did it, but I brought up my birthday, and he's like, oh, boo-hoo. Well, fuck you. And I hung up the phone.
Yeah.
So, this is coming to an end. It's coming to a crescendo, I promise.
Yeah.
This is all my family. So anyway, I can't talk to my mom. I just can't, right? Like, the fact that after asking to be a part of their lives and like being excluded purposefully from Mexico and no invites for like going and hanging out with my brother during his ball games after asking him repeatedly, like, and then saying like, why don't you ever fucking call? Like, why don't you guys ever fucking call?
Yeah.
You know, like, we work together, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
You know? So nothing. And then months go on, and eventually I get a message from my cousin, and it's, hey, your mom's in hospice. Oh, shit. Like, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? The next day, it was a Thursday. It was June the 6th. And I just happened to be working early at the radio station that day because I was going to pull a double. I was going to go to the radio station and I was going to drive.
Yeah.
I get to the radio station and I'm doing my work, and I go downstairs to the second floor where creative works, and I talk to a friend of mine, and I tell him briefly of the situation, and I said, what should I do? And he goes, you should go by and see your mom. You know, like, yeah. I feel you're justified in how you feel, and they definitely could have done more. And yes, you admit that you too could have done more, but there's only so much you can do when you get no return.
Yeah.
And he said, go see your mom. Go tell her that you love her. You still love her, right? I said, of course I do. He goes, go see her and just tell her that you love her, and that you're sorry that it's like this. I said, probably the best idea I've heard. So I go upstairs and I grab my wallet and I reach for my phone, and it's blowing up. And it's every single one of my family members telling me that my mom just died. And I had the feeling of, I should be sadder, but I'm not. I said everything I wanted to. I said everything I needed to. I never hesitate to say I love her.
Yeah.
Fuck. So, that was June the 6th. And I remember that because it's weird. My favorite car is a 1966 Chevelle. My mother died 2019, June 6th. 1966.
Yeah.
Easy to remember. The funeral was going to happen on her birthday, which was in August. And I get to the funeral, and of course, my mom's entire family is there, and my dad's there.
Oh.
And Diane's there.
Uh-oh.
Now, I was still talking to my ex-wife at this point in time, but also at this point in time, I'm dating Alicia, and I didn't want to bring Alicia to this because she never met my family.
Welcome to the
shit
show.
I didn't want to bring my... And I didn't want to bring my ex-wife because that would have been weird.
I shouldn't laugh. It's funny though. It is funny.
No, you're laughing. I'm laughing. It's fine. It's a story to, if anything, to learn from.
Yeah.
So I go by myself, and my brother and my uncle had taken it upon themselves to organize this entire thing. Now, keep in mind, like, there was times where I texted my brother and said, like, "There's anything you need, let me know."
Yeah.
Again, but it was a double thing. One of them is like just letting my brother know that I'm there for him, but at the same time repeating the phrase that he gave me shit for not saying of, "If you need any help, fucking let me know."
Yeah.
So, but he, like, again, like, he responded and said, "Okay, thank you," but he never asked me for anything. So, my uncle and my brother organized the entire wake, and everyone was there, and they put together a great montage and a video and and whatnot. It was beautiful. It was fun, and they each told stories, and then once my brother and my uncle were both telling stories, they said, "If anyone would like to come up now and share a story, feel free." And I felt the entire room look at me.
Yep.
Now my uncle looked at me, but my brother just walked off. I was like, whatever, fine. So I get up there and I say my piece, and I tell a funny story about my mom, and I tell her that I love her, and I tell her, like, I tell, everyone, like, I appreciate them being there, and it really is a tribute to her seeing an entire packed church community center full of friends and family and smiling faces, and so that was nice. And then other people told stories, and the entire time Diane is not looking at me, and that's fine.
I wonder why.
So get to the end of the service, and there's snacks and coffee and tea and whatever, and I'm helping move benches and tables and chairs, and I'm helping out, and I'm kind of casually talking with my dad, and I had the feeling of forgiveness and remorse and regret over the situation, even though I knew that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
Like, we're still referring to what happened in 2007 at my wedding, and further back with this whole, I want you to refer to my significant other as mom, which is where this whole thing started. But I was talking to my dad, and he says, I want to take this opportunity to open up a communication, and, like, I want you to, like, pick up the phone when I answer, and I want you to respond to a text when I text you, and I don't want things to be awkward anymore. And I understand. He goes, this kind of made me realize that I have this fear that, when I pass, you won't be there.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to answer that. So I go to leave, and I'm saying goodbye to aunts and uncles, and I see my Uncle Bruce. Now, this is the same Uncle Bruce that physically picked me up during my wedding and carried me behind a shed just to help gather myself. And I shake his hand, and I notice it's a little stiff, and I give him a hug, and I said, "Bruce, I'm sorry." And Bruce is he's my uncle, but he's only 15 years older than me.
Okay, yeah.
And his response was, "Sorry for being a dick to your mother." And I stepped back and I looked at him and went, "Yeah." And then my dad, paying attention, walked over, grabbed my uncle on the shoulder, went, "Not now." I pulled my keys out of my pocket and I walked to the driveway and I got in my car and I drove home. And I'm like, why can't we have one single fucking family event where controversy isn't involved? Why can't we have this?
Shit don't happen that way sometimes, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 2020.
Yeah.
No, 2019. That was 2019. And my brother and I still work at the same garage.
Yeah.
He's still a mechanic. I am still a driver. And the talk is very much shop. If it's not about a bus, it's not about anything.
Yeah.
And there's been times where it's been late at night and it's just been him and me there. And I say, "So, do you want to talk?" He goes, "Not really, no." Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. So, to wrap a bow on this entire situation and why I felt the need and desire to finally tell this story was 2 weeks ago, I received a Facebook message from my father. And this was still after him missing birthdays and Christmases and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And also not calling me and texting me after my birthday on Facebook to tell me, "Hey, I lost your phone number. Can you give it to me again? By the way, happy birthday," which again is like no excuse because he had no problems finding me on Facebook, asshole.
Yep. Yep.
So he sends me a link to something with like no explanation, no nothing. And so I look into the link and it's a bullshit, highly leaning, open letter, as it were, to John Horrigan and Dr. Bonnie Henry about the CDC and COVID and blah, 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 blah. So I did get a little bit deeper, because I'm not going to do anything or read anything without knowing the source. And I look into the source of the site that is hosting this quote unquote open letter. And it's hugely supported by the PPC. And it's like so much rhetoric and blah, 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 blah. And so I've already said goodbye to a few people that I friended on Facebook because I just told them don't get political with me. Don't send me political stuff. Don't send me anything COVID. I'm not going to send you anything like that. So don't do it to me.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they continued to do so because they thought, oh, well, JD works in media. So
he needs to see this. He needs to know about all this shit. Shut the
No, I don't. So anyway, I respond to my father and I say, please refrain from sending me anything like this in the future. The blah, blah, blah supports and promotes a lot of things I do not. They are very biased. He responds with LMAO. And other media sites aren't? Do yourself a favor and actually read the stats they have stated. You might learn something. P.S. All those stats are taken from the CDC and other legitimate sites. No, they weren't. And why are you laughing at me, asshole? And then he follows up with, while you're at it, how about you pay me and Jesse and whoever else you borrowed money from? You owe me $1,200 from the wedding, and I can't remember how much the loan was for the cosign for you to buy that car from me. The wedding that he ruined. And he asked me if there's any way that he could help. And the car, the 1978 Toronado, that he did co-sign for me, but then told me that the debt was absorbed into the business that he shut down.
Yeah.
And that I was ready to pay him back for 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
And the reason why we didn't work on that car together is because he stopped talking to me when he was busted and confronted by his 11-year-old daughter about referring to Diane as mom.
Jesus Christ.
That's the fucking message. Out of the blue. After me just telling him or asking him to not send me political shit. So my answer was, the wedding you and your wife caused a scene at for selfish reasons. I owe Jesse nothing. And it's true. I owe my brother nothing. I borrowed money from him many times and I paid him back.
Yeah.
I paid him back and brought dinner and brought beer. And I owe him nothing. I owe no one else anything. And then I wrapped up with, this is how you want to patch things up? Goodbye. Don't contact me again.
And
my family, everyone.
I'm guessing he hasn't contacted you since.
Nope.
It's probably for the best.
If he wanted to, he could email me.
Yeah.
If he wanted to, he can call me from a different line. If he wanted to, he could show up.
Yeah.
But I'm done. I am done with him. Like, I've been holding on to this hope that we could fix things that started over 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Through no fault of my own. And I just had enough. Like, holy shit. I don't know if this was from day drinking. I don't know what that was, but that was completely out of the blue, and it went from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat.
You're probably better off.
I don't have to worry anymore as to whether or not he's going to try to call me during my birthday, which he never did, or Christmas, which he never did.
Watch. He will this Christmas. Just fucking watch. It's going to happen. Out of the blue. He's going to call you. Just be like, hey, what's up?
Hey.
Yeah.
My favorite son? No, I'm not. So, yeah. That's...
I'm glad you got it off. I'm glad you got it off your chest. That was quite the fucking story, man. That's... You have way more patience than I do, because people would have got told to fuck off like probably right at the beginning. So,
but look at the story I was able to share.
You know what, man? It was a story, but sometimes your sanity has to be worth more than a fucking story, right?
Here's a funny thing about that is when I was much younger, my dad took it upon himself and paid full pop for me to talk to counselors and psychiatrists. Before I was 20, I had seen 5 counselors and 1 psychiatrist, because turns out my dad thought I was messed up in the head. He had it backwards. Or maybe the counselors actually helped me.
Maybe, yeah.
And he could have used a little bit of counseling himself.
Yeah, that's usually the way that goes.
So, that's it. That, like, this is now giving me the opportunity to finally go, like, if you want to know my life story, if you want to know why I don't get along with my family, this is why.
And we'll put it up on the internet so everybody can see it. I like it.
I'll start taking suggestions for what my new last name will be.
What's a good you know what? We'll put a poll out or something. We'll find you a new last name. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be something cool though. So
I was thinking, because JD stands for James Dean, my last name could be Martin. James Dean Martin. You know?
That could work. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I wanted to go wrestling, I could be James Dean Ambrose.
Interesting. Yeah,
I got you thinking.
Yeah. You got some choices there.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah, that was quite the fucking ride, man. I'm not gonna lie, that's fucking something.
This is the first time I got everything out all in one shot, and I didn't leave any details. That, like, everything that fucking happened, everything that started and led to 2 weeks ago, and I'm just. You are literally the first person ever, Daryl, to hear the story from start to finish.
And it was something. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I'm fine, honestly. Like my brother and I have a very professional relationship, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, my mother passed away, and I have zero regrets.
Yeah.
And my father, I've it's kind of like one of those bad relationships where it's like you like you were saying, like, fucking, why didn't I do that a long time ago?
Yeah. Pull that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why? Right. And I've gone 2 decades with very little of him in my life. I'm 42 years old and successful and living on my own and doing just fine. I don't need him in my life. And I've proven that for the past 2 decades, at least, I don't need him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm fine. Like, honestly, I'm fine. And yeah, like a little emotional over a few things that I went into detail about, but like no one can really blame me for that.
No.
How I feel is real. But as it stands right now, like, I sleep at night.
That's all that matters.
You know, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I got a beautiful bastard like you as a friend. So
that's a blessing and a curse.
I promise you, no more stories about my family.
Fair enough. Well, that seems like the logical place to end this. So this has been episode 23, a very special episode 23 of Lost Signals. My name is Daryl.
I'm JD for now.
When we'll see you out there.